Loaded dice is one of the best prismatic augments in the game, especially in Stage 2. It is so good in fact that Riot will nerf it in the upcoming patch by reducing the amount of gold you receive. But what makes this augment so powerful? And are players really utilizing it to its full potential? Let's find out. Now there are very good reasons why loaded dice is overperforming, and you probably know some of them. But in this video I want to go beyond the usual strategies that players are using and showcase the true untapped potential of this augment. Stay until the end and you will learn the craziest setup you will ever see to get yourself a 3-star legendary unit in Stage 4. But before we get into the nooks and crannies, let's do a quick crash course for the mechanics of loaded dice. Currently in set 8, you can only get loaded dice from the prismatic augment High Roller. It is a consumable that you can use on a unit, and it will refresh your shop based on the traits of the unit you used it on. So as a quick example, if you use loaded dice on a Talon, your shop will refresh and only include units that either have the Oxforce or Renegade tag. Something you as a player should avoid is to use the loaded dice on a unit with an emblem. The emblem trait will be taken into consideration, which can definitely mess up your shops. In this example, we have a brawler setup and you found a brawler emblem for your Soraka. Let's say you want to use loaded dice to find more Sorakas, but you ended up using the dice on the Soraka with an emblem. This now causes Sejuani to appear as well for all of your T4 shops, which contest with the Soraka that you were looking for. This is only a problem for the unit holding an emblem, so all we have to do to fix this issue is to use the dice on a different Soraka that doesn't have any items. Let's delve a bit deeper and take a closer look at shop odds. Your shop odds have a huge influence in your dice outcomes, and it's important that you use the dice at the right time. A good example is the currently most popular strategy by utilizing threats. Threats are quite unique as there are powerful units with only a single trait that doesn't really do anything. Using a dice on a threat will cause your entire shop to fill up with threat units since they don't have any other traits. Players in Ranked right now are making use of this when they see High Roller as their first augment choice. They save up some money and then they use the dice with level 4 on a random threat unit like Vel'Koz, Ramos or Cho'Gath. The game is now forced to only offer tier 3 threats, allowing you to easily 3-star your units quite early into the game, giving you a massive advantage. You might ask yourself, why do players prefer to use the strategy with level 4? And the answer is that with level 3, you don't have any tier 3 shops. This causes the dice to bounce off your threat units. And if you end up using it with level 5 or 6, you often will end up with some T4 units in the shop, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there's no real guarantee you will end up with upgrades, and they also honestly feel a lot weaker compared to having several 3-star tier 3 units. If I had to take a guess, you probably knew most of these interactions I've talked about so far. So let's go away from threats and look at the more underutilized side of loaded dice. Our first prime example has to be Mecha. Using a dice on Draven is incredibly powerful, since there are no ace units until tier 4. If you open with High Roller as your first augment and find a Draven, you can easily secure Wukong and Draven 3-star, granting you an amazing early game and setting yourself up for a strong Wukong or Draven carry together with supers. It's also a popular choice for brawler players if they find loaded dice in stage 3 or 4, since they can use the same concept to grant themselves a quick Jax 3-star. Now it's no secret that in the current patch rerolling is the dominant playstyle, but this will likely change in the next 2 patches and we might find ourselves in a meta more defined rushing for level 7 and 8, mainly looking for tier 4 carries. This will result in loaded dice becoming more relevant in stage 4 to achieve a specific 3-star tier 4 unit. Here's a small list you should remember to know which units you want to look out for in this approach. You want to use the loaded dice on Nasus for Misfortune, on Ezreal or Sivir if you're looking for Samira. Zed, Poppy and Wukong are good for Zed. Soraka and Lulu are the best choices for Soraka. Viego, Talon are great for Viego. And you want to use it on Gangplank if you're looking for Zed. These are the most interesting units when going for tier 4 carry, since there will be no conflict with a different unit in the tier 4 slot. This way you maximize your chances of finding the tier 4 unit of your choice. Sadly, this strategy is still quite RNG heavy, and sometimes you will find yourself short of victory by barely missing your 3-star unit. But what if I tell you there is a way to circumvent this? What if I tell you there's a comp out there that is capable of not only reliably hitting a 3-star tier 4 unit, but also capable of hitting a 3-star legendary unit in stage 4 too? Now I'm not saying you will be able to pull this off every game, since the stars do have to align for this to happen. But let me introduce you to the craziest loaded dice strategy in the game, involving a comp you might have never heard about: the Super Sivir. This is a very unsuspecting off-meta comp, based on rolling for supers together with Sivir and Senna for sure shots. Sivir is usually your main carry, and Galio or Malphite your main frontline. This comp makes great use of loaded dice, since using the dice on Sivir is very similar to using it on Draven. Tier 1 will always guarantee you Galio, Tier 2 will grant you Sivir, and Tier 3 will always give you Senna. Now it is possible to simply use the dice in the early game to grant yourself an early Galio and Sivir 3-star and use them to win streak and set yourself up for a good early mid game. This is a valid strategy, but there is an augment path I want to share with you that can create your most memorable game you will ever play in set 8. First up, your first augment has to be a hero augment. For this strategy, it would be helpful if you can get your hands on either a Galio or Sivir or Malphite augment, since you're looking to play them until the end. From here, you have a 29% chance of receiving a prismatic augment. If you find yourself on this path and you receive the High Roller augment in stage 3, your conditions have been met. In this specific scenario, you don't want to use the High Roller right away. Instead, you want to be patient. Try to hit Galio and Sivir 3-star by slow rolling your shops and keep the dice on your bench. Once you reach the end of stage 3, the play can begin. At this point, you need to have Galio 3-star, Sivir 3-star, and around 4 Sennas. You can now use the first dice on Sivir. If you're still level 5, you will have guaranteed 5 Sennas in your shop. But even with level 6, your chances are pretty high for the same outcome. This will now grant you Senna 3-star, and you still have 2 loaded dice left. What happens if you use the remaining dice on Sivir in this scenario? There are no more eligible tier 1, 2, or 3 units. So even though your shop will tell you you have a 5% chance for a tier 4 unit, in reality, you have a 100% chance of receiving 5 Samiras in your shop. Since you have 2 dices left, you can guarantee yourself a Samira 3-star. This is quite amazing already, but we're not done yet. Why did I mention this specific path of hero augment into prismatic? Well, it turns out that your third augment, in this case, will always be silver. And which silver augment are we looking for? You probably guessed it. It is the Recombobulator, which transforms your units into a higher tier. If you still have your augment reroll, you might have a decent chance of getting this augment and creating the most ping-worthy board in existence, consisting out of a 3-star legendary unit, a 3-star tier 4 unit, and a 3-star tier 3 unit, and you have all of that in stage 4 too. So the next time you find yourself face to face with the High Roller augment, remember that your options are beyond just rolling for threats, and allows for shenanigans your opponents are not prepared for. What is your personal favorite use of loaded dice? Do you think Riot should bring back loaded dice as an outcome for Underground? Did I miss something or was something unclear? Let me know in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, why not subscribe and support the channel? I hope you learned something, and see you next time.